So, hello and welcome to the AdviceAcademy podcast. We're obviously aiming to help underprivileged rugby players from a low socioeconomic background. This podcast is the unorthodox podcast surrounding journeys in rugby. So just different journeys in rugby. So how are you and how's the season been?
Yeah, I'm really good. It's been really good. It's coming to an end, but obviously still got a few more things to go.
Right.
But for me this season, I was just with uni rugby with BUCs, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster, a bit rocky at the start. I think most of everyone involved can say that it was a bit rocky at the start, but fair play. Like, the girls have got so much better since. We haven't really had much change in our team. We've just had the girls just developing and getting better and better, and to lead that team to where we ended up in the final and winning the final was something massive, and something that a women's team has never obviously got to the final but never managed to win it, and it was a privilege to be part of that team to do that.
So I can imagine for some young girls looking up to you, it's probably quite inspiring.
Yeah.
To see a Hartpury Bucks team win the league. Has there been any big lessons for you this year?
Yeah, quite a few. I think, as obviously my position as a fly half, that managing of the game, but understanding those different types of management and when to do different things within that game has been massive. And I've learnt from either just experiencing the game or the coaches helping me, but also watching. So a real good platform for us is watching Gloucester Hartpury and watching kind of obviously the England girls as well, with knowing some of those girls that are in the squad. And if just literally just watching rugby improves and helps so much more, even just on little things that for me really helps game management. So those have been really big lessons for me, and also managing a team and leading that team. There's a lot involved in it, and I think I've really understood and learnt that this year.
So say there was a young girl trying to push the ranks at a local club.
Mm-hmm.
What would there be one piece of advice you'd give to them?
Just get involved. I think, especially obviously with girls rugby is becoming a lot more popular, but it can still be quite daunting to walk into a team with the majority being boys.
Of course.
But get involved, make friends, make them know that you're there, and show them who's boss. Really, that's the main thing, because that's what I did. And the team that I was in back in my club were really accepting of that and really pushed me. They're kind of half the reason that I'm still going today. So
quality. And what's life outside rugby? If it's full time with rugby, how do you take a break?
So obviously I have to work as well.
What are you doing for work?
Just working at a local pub just over in Minsterworth, the Forest direction.
Right.
But other than that, just literally blowing off steam with my friends. I think that's how I relax, is seeing my friends, social life. That doesn't always mean doing something. That might just be living kind of student life and just sitting
chilling
in the lounge and just chilling. Yeah. That's probably the main thing. It's just talking absolute rubbish all day with your friends can just really, really help.
And do you find that's important?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think you can be a full-time student, full-time athlete and not have the other thing. You need to get away from that environment, talk about something else, have fun, go out for food, go out for drinks, do whatever. But then obviously when you come back into it, you're there, but you definitely need to switch off.
Balance, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And outside of team training, what do you rely on to get ahead of your competitors, obviously?
So I do a lot of kind of individual work-ons, conversations that I've either had with my coaches or that I feel I need to. One of the biggest things for me is my kicking. But I don't just do that on my own. I do that with either some of the coaches or with some of the girls. We form a kicking club and that gets everyone involved, or just with one of the girls, like Charlie Mann's, we really push each other to do that together. And I think that's been one of the things that when I first came into kind of women's rugby and I basically had to learn to kick, and I was awful. I really couldn't kick. There was no part of me that could kick a rugby ball. And I've had to learn over the years, and obviously the more you go up, the more important little skills like that become.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, just kicking's probably my biggest thing for me.
And that kicking will obviously link to your game management.
100%. It really helps you kind of be able to manage that game more if you've got the kicking ability.
Yeah, it can turn a game.
Yeah, 100%.
And is this different? So you kicking clinics and your extras, is that different based on your knowledge now after your 3 years at Hartpury, or your experience across Hartpury as when you were younger?
Yeah, so when I was doing club rugby, I think it did help because I had brothers that played and played at high levels, and you know, I was quite lucky to have some good coaches available to me. But I think you just, when you're younger, rugby is fun. It's for fun, and it is still now. But obviously, coming into Hartpury at 16, you come into a completely different environment, and those extras are something that you really need. You realise everyone else does them, and I think that's one thing that you kind of switch on to, and you think, oh, okay, now I really need to push on and do this. But like, I enjoy it. I find it fun. Obviously, when it's raining, it's not really the one to go out and do. But on a lovely sunny day, it's actually really fun to go and do extras, even if you just take a couple people with you.
So how often would you say, let's say in the off season, how many extra sessions you can do a week?
I would try to do, so say in the off season, before pre-season,
just
on my head.
When you're ticking over.
So in the off season, I think because your season's so long, it is really important to just get away from rugby, take a break. Otherwise, as much as you love it, you need that break.
Yeah.
So I'd probably look to do kind of like 2 or 3, but that might not be a scheduled thing. That might just be, I fancy going for a kickabout, like, anyone want to come?
Of course.
And that can turn into something better. But 2, maybe 3 is kind of what I look to do.
Yeah.
And then it can go from there. Like, I know at the end of last year, obviously we were just in kind of 3rd round of COVID, and like me and my friends would literally just go to the field for a kickabout, but that is actually extras.
Yeah, subconsciously, you're getting the work done.
Exactly.
10-year-old you, what was the dream?
Dream was to play for England.
At 10 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy to think about, but I think that's any young person's dream, 100%. Most people I know at that point wanted, like, as a 10-year-old, wanted to do that and push on. And I think when I was 10, women's rugby was in a very different place to where it is now, which is fantastic to see. It's got so much bigger. But that was a dream in my eyes, and yeah, for sure.
And who was a key role model at 10 years old for you, from the women's game, from the men's game?
I was going to say the classic Johnny Wilkinson, wasn't he? But 10 years old. So I started probably watching women's rugby, around kind of the 13-14 mark.
Cool.
And at that point for me was Katie Daly-McLean.
Right.
She was a real role model for me, and I obviously then grew up with her coming through England, and obviously now she's not, but that was a massive thing for me.
Because that can be a massive barrier for some girls, is role models to look up to.
Yeah, and so I think that obviously when I was there, it was all the men that were the role models within that high performing sport. Mm-hmm. But now I think I love it because there's so many more women that can be, and it's great to see, like, even at the Gloucester Hartpury games, like little girls, little boys coming up to you and asking for photos. Like, you are their role model, and I think that's so amazing.
It's crazy how the game's changing.
It is, but it's fantastic. Game. It's blowing up.
And so tell us about your journey then. So since you were 10 years old with that dream to play for England.
Yeah, so I started when I was 6, mainly because I didn't want to stand on the sideline and watch my brothers play.
Okay.
So I started when I was 6, got involved with so I was the only girl on my team all through minis, to under 12s. So I was kind of the only girl on my team, but I had a great team. The team I was on in North Dorset, that was down in Dorset, they're fantastic to me. Had a great time, really got on with all of them, and I still speak to them. I still have the boys that come and support me. So I played that, then I went into under 15, so I didn't have an under 13, so you jump straight into under 15 as a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
So that can be a big jump, but I kind of got thrown in at the deep end, and that's when like the kicking started to come, and kind of introduced myself to playing that 10-12 position.
Cool.
So, and then from then, county, Dorset and Wilts, and then luckily enough, like into divisional, which was southwest for me.
Wow. When
I was 14, 15, and then I stayed in that every year, and come under 18s, like pushed on into the TDG, which is basically the England under 18s.
Okay.
Which is a fantastic opportunity, but obviously that doesn't come all the time. Like, we have a couple of training camps, and then you go back to like your home club,
Yeah.
and you play from there. But yeah, so that was kind of my rugby journey. But I was always at my home club, North Dorset, throughout all of that,
Right,
which was fantastic. And then I left them when I came to Hartbury College at 16, because obviously that commute is too long.
Crazy.
But yeah, came to Hartbury College at 16, and I've been here ever since. Haven't wanted to leave just yet, but yeah, it's fantastic, and the opportunities that Hartbury bring for you are unreal. And I've seen like people in my year like really push on, and some of them leave at 18 and some of them go into the pathway straight away into England, and others stay and others go off and do kind of what they want to do. But yeah.
And so if we're going back a bit, how was secondary school as a young rugby playing girl?
No rugby in my secondary school.
Yeah.
Yeah, none, which I think we tried to get it going. I had a couple of PE teachers that really wanted to get it going, and it was like they were full on supportive of it. Yeah. It's not that they didn't want to do it, it was just that I went to quite a small secondary school with not a lot of people in my year or people in the school in general, so that those small numbers just didn't really allow for that rugby team to happen, because you have to be a type of person to want to play rugby.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not common, is it? But to be fair, like my school still supported me with that, with external things, but yeah, it wasn't a thing in my school.
And if you had one piece of advice to maybe a secondary self, or what would it be?
Good question.
I don't know, if you ever self-doubted yourself.
I definitely self-doubted myself. I think when I got into the divisional, which was so Southwest, I remember being at the training camps and like doing contact with all these girls that were taller than me, stronger than me, bigger than me, and I really didn't like it. And I thought at that point I was really struggling with like being able to tackle them or just perform well, and I think that was a really reality check for me. And I thought, like, I just can't do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, and I didn't quit because of all the people around me almost, and the fact that I love rugby so much, so I didn't want to give it up. But I'm so glad that I didn't. But that is probably like maybe the biggest lesson I'd give to someone from that age group, is that stick with it. It's probably going to be tough, especially in women's rugby, with the gap when you're tackling 15-year-olds when you're 13 or whatever. It is just stick with it, speak to whoever you need to speak to, and go from there. But I was quite lucky. I have an older brother who got me in the gym quite early, so when I came up into Hartbury when I was 16, I was already kind of used to it, had a bit more bulk on me because I was quite a skinny kid.
So you speak about your brothers a lot. Are they role models?
Yeah, 100%.
How many brothers do you have?
So I have 3 brothers. The 2 eldest played rugby, one still does, one doesn't, and then the 3rd didn't play rugby, but he is still like in full support of everything that I do. And you know, they were all at the final, being at the semi-final, and they're so proud of me. But them, the fact that they were involved in it as well really pushes me forward, and you know, they get me out training, or like I said, like got me in the gym at a young age. But that's what I wanted to do, and I just needed someone to do it with me, almost.
Of course. And was there a key turning point? Like, can you put a finger on when maybe your career turned for the better, or maybe there was a time when you really struggled and you learned a lot of lessons, or was there a turning point at all?
It's actually quite recent. I think my turning point was, so at the end of last year I wasn't really enjoying rugby, coming back from maybe a little bit before COVID, but coming back from COVID I really wasn't enjoying rugby. And I was with Gloucester Hartbury at the time, and I said to the head coach, like, look, I need time out from this, and I'm just gonna do uni rugby, which was picking back up, and I've started that in September, and I just did uni rugby and I love it. I really love it now, and I think that was a real pivotal moment for me, because I wasn't performing because I didn't enjoy it. And I think the main reason I want to play rugby is because you enjoy the sport. That should be the first thing. And yeah, so I came back from that, and now I love it, and I'm happy to push on and go through those high performances. But I mean, that hasn't just been down to just myself, that's been down to the coaches that I've had this year and the girls as well.
Obviously we work with a lot of young athletes, and what we find is that players will just work away, and maybe they're not even enjoying it, but they just feel the need that they have to keep turning up, keep putting the work in. But obviously, with your example, a break does work. It's fine to have a break. It's fine to have a day off. If you with this hustle mentality and this grind mentality that everyone talks about, it's like stay on top 24/7. But sometimes naturally you need to have balance. You need to have time off. I'm
all about just having like a bit of time off if you need it. Like, for me, it should be fun first, and if it's not fun, then why are you doing it? Because anyone that you might think might be disappointed in you, or for any reason might think that that's why you're scared to say actually I need a time off. They'll be more happy if you just said, look, I'm not enjoying it. Have a time out, and likely you'll love it again, or you'll find something else obviously that you love equally as more. But it's that balance, isn't it, that we spoke about at the start, with just having that time out, go enjoy time with your friends. Especially as a young athlete, you miss out on a lot. You have to sacrifice things
a lot,
to get to a high level. And I look back on it now and I think, I didn't go to that because I had rugby. But when I hated rugby, I thought, I'm missing out on so many things, I just want to go. But now I find myself going, actually no, I've got training, I would like to be there over that. And I think that's the difference, is when you've got the love for it and you're enjoying it, you're more likely to actually perform better.
You've got to find that spark. As soon as that spark goes, it becomes a chore. You're bored, you're not keen.
No, suddenly, and that's the worst. Exactly. And it lets down everyone that you play with as well.
You might as well be passionate and do something you like. So obviously you spoke about quite a tough part of your career just then. Would that be one of the hardest parts of your career, or has there been injuries?
So I've torn my ACL twice.
Bloody hell.
So in my first week of coming to Hartbury College, actually I tore my ACL. So that was really tough for me, I think, because as a 16-year-old coming to a new environment, I've come all this way, I've come all this way to play rugby. My family have supported me to get to this point, and I can't now play rugby for a year. And you miss out on so much, and you miss out on actually so much of the bonding is one of the main things I found.
The team
environment, because you bond with the girls on the team as well as off the pitch. So it's difficult. I found that really difficult. But I got through that. Luckily at the time I was really enjoying my gym. So the physios I had a couple of girls that were kind of injured with me. Everyone would I'd stay injured and then people would come in and come out. But just having that support on those 7 a.m. mornings meant everything. But I think I was still quite motivated to keep going. And then I finished college, decided to stay for uni because I thought I haven't really got much out of Hartbury really. I've missed all the major competitions that everyone speaks about and has fun. And then I did it again at the start of my uni first year. And I think that point was the hardest point. That was harder obviously than the first time I did it when I was 16, because I thought this is it. I've got 3 years now to play rugby and enjoy it. And that was kind of a real pivotal moment for me, because I was missing out again. So, and that I think was the key point where I realised that there is a little bit more to life than rugby. And that is when my friends and the social environment really brought me through that year. And it's not bad to take a step away from it. I would get what I needed to get done, but maybe take a step away so I could make sure I was enjoying it. But I was really lucky to have rehab partners like Tatiana Hurd, who obviously is England international Goss Hartbury player. I rehabbed with her for the majority of the time, and we're still speaking out about it now. And Rachel London, another Gloucester player, she was my physio but also my friend, so it was really nice. Those two people really kept me going, along with all the other physios like Adam, but they really kept me going, I think, and they understood that I've done it before, so I need to maybe have a little bit of different variation in that rehab. And just doing it with them actually really pulled me through it, and it was fun.
Because ACLs they can be career ending.
Yeah. So they're long.
They're years out.
Yeah.
So if you to do one and then two.
Yeah.
And then still go on to win the BUCs championship.
Yeah.
A little bit crazy, surely.
I think about it now, and I don't really think about it that much, but when you put it like that, it is something fantastic, and I'm so glad that I stayed for this Masters, because that was the goal, and what an ending to it. And to do it with a bunch of girls that I love so much was something even better.
So how did you, I don't know, sometimes you hear people say like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Or is there anything that kept with you, that stuck with you, that you kept
at the time, everyone was going, everything happens for a reason. I just thought, no, like how is this good? How is this good?
Course.
But so say like my first time, I came back so much faster than I'd ever been, stronger. I'd met friends that I actually wouldn't have met if I didn't tear my ACL, because I met them in it, like on the journey to A&E. So I wouldn't have even met any of these people who are now my best friends. So even things outside of rugby have come into it, but I was so much stronger, so much faster. Met loads of different people, got to know Hartpury, got to know all the people within Hartpury. The second time was a bit more like, okay, why has this happened?
Yeah, you question yourself there.
Yeah, but I still don't think it was a bad thing, and it meant that I got to spend more time with people and be a rehab partner, like for Tat and stuff. So everything does happen for a reason, but I don't think you always necessarily find that reason until maybe like years after, and it might be something so little, but a bit of a silver lining.
Yeah, the silver lining. I remember I was 13 and I blew out my ankle, my leg, both bones in the leg, ankle, and it blew out at 13. And you're thinking, I'm 13.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I remember my dad just saying, there'll be a silver lining somewhere. And again, you come back stronger, faster, fitter. It might take a bit of time, but that's how it goes. And obviously you're still on your rugby journey.
Yeah. But
did you ever imagine you'd be where you are now?
No. I did think after I did my ACL the first time, I said, if I do that again, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Ended up doing it again, didn't I? But I'm so glad I stuck with it and I stayed with it. And I pushed through to finish my degree, but I never thought I'd do a master's for sure. And the reason obviously I did it was to stay for BUCs, and I'm so glad I did, but I never thought I'd be here now, loving rugby, wanting to continue with rugby. So 2 years ago I was done. Even maybe a year ago I was done with rugby. I was like, I'll do BUCs and then I'm done. But you know, I'm glad I stuck with it, and I'm glad that people in my life helped me make those decisions to stick with it. And yeah, it's led to what an outcome.
What an outcome. And tell us about the day then. Tell us about, what was it, 2 Wednesdays ago?
Yeah, pretty incredible. Obviously went up there, ideal, because it's basically a home game for us, only 40 minutes up the road. Got there, you know, you could already tell it's a special occasion to play in a stadium. Like, we haven't played in a stadium like that before. Nice little pitch walk. Girls are all buzzing. It's something kind of, you see videos on, I don't know, in the rugby Instagram of them doing the pitch walk, and we get to do stuff like that. Yeah. Got there, I think the nerves were there 100%, but they were always going to be. But halfway through warm up, the Hartpury drum and all the rugby girls arrive, and all the boys that have come to support, and the families, and that was a magical moment when everyone's entered the crowd, everyone's taken their seats, you're warming up and lining up to come out and run out onto the pitch. And then that game was a bit of a roller coaster, but unreal ending, and the effort from the girls was incredible, but all the support staff that made us get to that point. And it's just nice to see like the outcome of it and how proud everyone was and who actually came. Like, there were faces there that I was surprised to see, and I thought that's really lovely. Because
I watched all the replays and everything, and I saw your coach, Mo Hunt, talk about how you, at the end, after you'd won it and it all settled down, you actually managed to get all the team involved, even the travelling reserves.
Yeah, 100%.
And I thought, yeah, bloody hell, like, it's not just the 15 that took the field,
no.
Or the 23, it's the whole it's a whole involvement, if you know what I mean. So what's that about then? Well,
Hartpury's a family, right? I think everyone at Hartpury talks about Hartpury family, but it is true, and all the girls that have been at the training sessions and have backed us all the way, and all the coaches and even our lecturers who are supporting us when we turn up to a lecture, absolutely so tired because we've just gone up to Edinburgh like the day before, you know. It's little things like that, but every single person has got us to that final. If you're playing in the 23 squad or not, you are part of that win. So did the end of team talk, whatever, and I said to Mo, we have our little click on 3, clap on 6. Yeah. I said, let's go do it with the girls. So we had girls in there that played in the semi-final, got injured. Our vice captains in there got injured at the start of the year. So it wasn't just about us. That was about everyone. And not even this year. It was about the girls that couldn't play in it 2 years ago because of COVID. So yeah, it was all about that. And so to do it with all of them, I think meant a lot. Well, it meant a lot to me, and I hope it meant a lot to all of them.
No, I can only imagine. That's a once in a lifetime.
Yeah, fully, and I wanted everyone to experience that with us.
Yeah, and for the younger ones who are coming through, obviously you're in a more senior role, that'll be a memory for life.
Yeah.
It'll be a defining moment in their university career.
Oh yeah, I think university rugby is getting really big as well, and that is to be able to study and play the sport that you love is massive, and it's getting big, and it leads to pathways like Premiership as well, which is something you can only imagine when going to a university.
Of course. So obviously you're on your Masters now.
Yeah.
So 4th year.
Yeah.
And what is your Masters?
So it's in sports coaching.
So what's on the horizon then? So
I finished my Masters this year, did 1 year. And I'm thinking about sticking around, not at Hartbury, but with Gloucester, and seeing where that goes. It's really exciting because we go straight into Cup. We don't go into the Premiership because the World Cup's on. Yeah. So most players obviously are away with that. So we go into Cup, which is a really exciting time. Lots of young players get to play in it and just get a run around. So I'm excited to stay. And then just go from there, but get back into it, start pushing on now. But yeah, that's kind of the plan, I think.
Wow. And did you expect it?
No. I honestly, no. I was always the first person to say I would never do a Masters. Yeah. And I was so apparent I'm done with rugby. I'm just gonna go and live my life. But no, I'm excited to stay, and it'll be nice to get back in with the girls that I used to train with. So.
No, it's been a hell of a. Well, it's only you started your career, but
I know I'm only 21 and I've done all of that.
But big things to come, obviously.
Yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Well, it'll all go well.
Thank you.
That it.